EGX2016 has been the world premiere for a playable version of Yooka Laylee, the new platformer game by Playtonic games, which is basically a reformed bunch of Rare devs, which, if you didn't know, worked on real staples of the past on the N64 in the platforming genre, like Conker's Bad Fur Day, like Banjo Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, and lots more. These were games that meant a lot to me on a very personal level, and obviously meant a lot to other people, seeing as the Kickstarter that was set up to fund the game completely got blasted on every stretch goal that they tried to put out, and they had to keep putting on more and more because it was just so popular. People were really yearning for a real 3D platformer like the ones in the N64 generation that we haven't seen for a long time. And coming from developers that are so veteran, it's been very promising. And I just want to say that my mindset and my hype about this game hasn't changed since I played the playable demo. There's loads of elements packed into one map that are almost mini games inside the game that have such a lot of charm. Like there's a minecart zone, there's zones where you can turn into a flower, transmute in the same map. You have to turn your character into stone to get through windy sections, and you just shoot a cannon off at some windy stone. There's just a lot of things to do, and it's a lot like Banjo Kazooie in the past, where you could, for example, in one level turn into a little mini alligator, and you had to do a little mini game where you had to eat all of the, I don't know what they were, some sort of creature that you ate around a map, and you had to do it under time conditions. The characters are quirky and have a lot of heart, with Yooka the chameleon and Laylee the bat. And also on the gameplay level, they play off each other very well, with, for example, Laylee running on top of Yooka when in a ball rolling up of hills and things like that, and the attack animations and everything like that looks very good. The actual graphics, the textures and things aren't exactly amazing in the game, but the style and the theme is very Rare, and it just works. It really gets the essence of the characters and the environments across. The sound is great. There's lots of grunts and weird noises, but that's very much signature Rare as well. And there's loads of tongue-in-cheek British humour, plays on words, lots of innuendo and things like that. Although the developers have said that some things might get taken out in a pass on to see which really fit into the game being a game for everybody, really, rather than just adults. The musical score is also fantastic. It does actually sound a lot like the Banjo Kazooie theme track, but that is in no way a bad thing, and it's got the essence and the sort of lightheartedness and the motivation for you to keep going in a game that has parts which are fairly hard to overcome. Anyway, this has all been some gameplay that I took off of the screen in my 15-minute game demo, and something to take into consideration is that it definitely looks better in action, and you can see some of that on the Twitch from EGX2016. Also, I was definitely playing trying to really get all of the features, or as many features as I could in 15 minutes, so I was maybe rushing through things a little bit, which obviously might affect the gameplay somewhat. And I also have an interview with Chris Sutherland. He was one of the original guys at Rare. He's the project director of Yooka Laylee and software engineer, and he was the past voice of both Banjo and Kazooie, so he's had a lot of engagement with the games. But I just want to note as well that this was actually my first interview with a developer, and what a developer it was. Out of all the developers I could have interviewed, I got Chris Sutherland, which is, wow, amazing. Someone that had a big part in some of my most cherished childhood memories, I guess. But I was definitely very nervous, and at points I cut in when I really shouldn't have done, and I know that it isn't the best interview from a standpoint of a professional press member, I suppose. And just take that into mind when you listen to it. I was also put very much on the spot because I went over, and basically there was a slot free just that second because another press member hadn't turned up in time. So it was very like, go now, and I was like, oh, but I was really worried when I got back home because I thought it was going to be really cringy and a really awkward turtle, but it wasn't as bad as I thought, which is why I'm still including it. But do remember that it was my first, and I was losing my press virginity, I guess, so to be gentle. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and enjoy the interview that I'm going to leave you with.
From you, it's Chris Sutherland you're the project lead, am I right?
I'm project director.
Director, sort of, yeah. That sort of.
Basically do lots of things, including writing software, that kind of thing.
How would you sum up Yooka Laylee in a few words?
Yooka Laylee is an open world platformer which is brought to you by some of the key creative talent who created similar games back in the 1990s.
Yeah. Well, I was a big fan back in the 1990s for Rare and Banjo Kazooie and Conquest Bad Fur Day, all of them really. I was wondering, there's a lot of mechanics in the first level, almost like an abundance of them. You've got transmutation, you've got cannons, and you've got just loads of elements in there. Will that be the same throughout the game? Are there like unique elements into every level, almost on the same scale as this first level that we've been able to play?
There's different things. Some of them will reoccur throughout the other levels, but they kind of recur. You might see the basic form of them in the first level, and then there's a bit more the puzzles will get more, challenges will get more challenging, I guess.
Yeah.
In the later levels, as you have to you learn in the first level that there's certain things I can eat, and it gives me flames. But then in future levels, you have to learn how to use those a bit differently, and take those into account. It kind of adds on to what you've learned in the first level.
Okay. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek humour, which I've loved from the past Rare games.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more R-rated than Conquest Bad Fur Day. But does it always stay in the PG realm? Is this a game for everybody? It's always sort of innuendo and play on words and things like that.
Yeah, it's always going to be a game that everyone can play. Yeah. I mean, the text you see here, that'll still go through several iterations before we're finally happy with it.
There are some laughs though.
Yeah, so there'll be some things that'll be amended, some things that'll be tweaked here and there. So it's definitely something that we aim that anybody can play.
Okay. Do you know how many levels or sort of stages there'll roughly be in the end game?
There's going to be 5 levels plus a hub world, which is kind of like a level in itself, really. And each of those is kind of, what you see here is probably maybe half is one level, because one level here is actually going to be, it's going to look similar, but it will be populated by about twice as much things.
I was going to ask something similar. Back in Banjo Kazooie, there are quite a lot of levels that sort of evolved as you played them. Yeah. Maybe the water levels would rise, or like one of the maps, the whole season's changed. Is that something that's going to happen in Yooka Laylee as well? Do the maps keep evolving as you play them? Or?
Yeah, so you can kind of get a sense of it there if you look, and there's a large monument. That will kind of be something you unlock in the first level, and then there's another area to the rear that will be something that expands. And then similarly, each of the other levels, there'll be areas where you can kind of expand the levels, but the meaning of what expand is varies from level to level. So it's not exactly the same kind of thing you do in the second level as the first level. There's a bit of a surprise there for people.
Okay.
So we're not telling people what it is yet, but you can basically, there's something you can do to kind of enhance and increase the amount of stuff you can play in each level.
Okay. Finally, Yooka Laylee, maybe not as in business-wise, but it's definitely a success from the Kickstarter. Are you looking to the future of other projects? Are we going to see maybe another Conquest Bad Fur Day type game, maybe a more adult game, or there are no set ideas at the moment? So we want to take the characters we've got here and then add to them and then build a whole universe of characters. Yeah. So that's one of the key things we're trying to do. And so yes, these characters will reappear in some other format in future. We don't yet know what that is. But yes, definitely. Maybe a Yooka Laylee racing or something, yeah.
Who knows? I mean, what I'd suggest people do is go to Playtonic forums or playtonicgames.com and let us know what people want to see.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for your time anyway. It's nice meeting you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Excellent.